Welcome to News with a View, hosted by me, John A. Costa. This is a conservative leaning podcast, but I do take in both sides of an issue. I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative, I'm a Federalist, but I'm not MAGA. I do take in both sides of an issue. I deal mainly with federal issues, though state issues do come up, of course, and I do address that. But mainly, I try to stick with federal issues that affect us all, just in one swoop, like the Constitution and things of that nature. So, welcome everyone that are subscribers and those new people that might be watching this for the first time. Today is April 22nd, 2026, and this is episode 57. My episodes is how many I do in a year, so we're up to 57. Today's topics are going to be more resignations coming out of the House of Representatives. Something that I don't normally go into is what I consider tabloid news, but this has to do with the Clintons, and it's interesting, but I thought I'd just throw that out there today. The third thing will be Republicans fear the Democrats will do a complete government shutdown in October as a means of a tactic for the midterms. And I'll explain why that is and what I think about it. Then I'll talk about the redistricting vote in Virginia that took place. And of course, that's a state issue, but it has consequences in the House of Representatives. So it's important. That's why I said this is some state issues reach out further. And then, of course, we'll talk about Iran and what's going on and what I think. What I think. So I have all the answers, folks. I know it all. If only they would listen to me, starting with Bob in New York. All right, let's get with it. The Democrat Florida Congresswoman Sheila McCormick announced yesterday that she is resigning from Congress now. McCormick has been charged with fraud in the use of federal funds. So she misappropriated funds that was meant to be distributed through her office. And she became one of the people that are on the naughty list of doing the wrong thing. Now, she hasn't been found guilty yet, but she did know that the House of Representative Ethics Committee were making the recommendation to expel her. So instead of being expelled, she resigned. And this seems to be an ongoing trend right now in Congress. And we've seen a lot of people that have resigned due to shenanigans with money or shenanigans with people of the opposite sex. So Florida just seems to have their problem right now. Allegations against Florida Republican Corey Mills, he has always been a lightning rod of allegations. resulting now of the House Ethics Committee investigation into his conduct. So the House, of course, has a committee, and it's bipartisan, and they are investigating it. What are they? Investigation, alleged allegations of financial and sexual misconducts. So you have Nancy Mace from South Carolina, yelling that, and she's a Republican. This is it, and this guy has to go. He's no good. But there's an ethics committee that really brings the hammer down. Now Congressman Mills has been cooperating with the ethics committee, has handed everything over that they've asked for, and he is hopeful that you know this ends it. That he gave all this information and he's cooperated. So there's been no instance where they said that I know of or has been reported. I apologize. I still have my allergies bad as ever, and I was working outside. But he has cooperated fully with the committee. So the investigation continues, and he said he is going to be running for re-election, and that he looks forward to the committee's release of information so that he can put this all behind him. So he has said absolutely not. He's not resigning. Nope, no way, not happening. Interesting when people dig their heels in. But if he didn't do anything wrong, then he didn't do anything wrong, and they'll find such, and they'll come to the same conclusion. So, and we saw a lot, Soel out of California, and Gonzalez out of Texas. You have a lot of people, a lot of in play. And this is two Democrats, two Republicans, and, now what has become, where sure wins are now possible toss-ups, depending on which way the wind blows for their seats. But pretty, from everything I looked, there's only a handful of real toss-ups. Some leaning, some definite red, some definite blue going on in the Senate and House seats. So I don't see much of a change coming with the House, even though, the redistricting, and I'll get into that. But he'll have his day. He will have his day. Now, Nancy Mace is also being investigated because she had made some pretty serious allegations against people, and it's pretty wacky. But you can look up Nancy Mace. I did a little thing on her way before when this first came out with her. I'm not sure if, in the electrical terms, she is completely grounded correctly, but what do I know? I don't know what I don't know. All right. 9 minutes of dribble on that. I'm going to try to make this a short show today. And I got people in the house doing some work, so we might be hearing stuff, and I'm going to just plow on through it, and because it's right underneath us where this noise will take place, and I don't have a choice. I got to do it. All right. Now, I talked about. Oh, there it is. You can hear it in the background. Not too bad. A lot. A lot. better than what I thought it was going to be. I said I don't really handle tabloid news. I don't like it. It's doesn't affect us, and this really doesn't affect anyone. It's just more Hillary, and this is why Hillary. I don't always trust what she says. I'm a skeptic. I don't trust what a lot of people say, Republicans or Democrats. You know, I can be a bit of a dick when it comes to stuff like that. All right, so there was a reporter, Christopher Sine, who broke a story about Hillary Clinton in 2016, and this had to do with her meeting at the time Attorney General Loretta Lynch on the airport tarmac, that they just happened to run into one another, and there was a conversation. Now, Hillary was being investigated, and there was a lot of talk about, whether or not her emails, and I even said back then that this was a nonsense thing, but I didn't have my podcast back then, but I said to people, people have used email servers before, off, on, and it was always loosey-goosey, and when you send an email, you assume everyone in the world is reading it. But Christopher Sine broke the story about her being in they did their meeting in the airplane, and they were, in essence, sequestered. And there was a lot of going around. Did Bill Clinton use his leverage to try to stop an investigation of Hillary's private email server when she was leading the State Department? Well, he committed suicide during this period. And the family, the wife had him cremated like 2 days later. And the family, meaning the mother of Christopher Sine, wanted to know, was there an autopsy? Was anything done? And this was, she said the Sine's wife was very aloof on the situation. Now, of course, you have a suicide, and you're the wife, and you're saying, what happened? Everything was fine, or at least, she went and said he wasn't depressed, he didn't leave a note, he didn't do this, he never showed any signs. And he had a life insurance policy that paid everything off. So, people were suspicious. She got married, I think, a year later, which, again, hey, that happens all the time. Someone passes away, and the husband or the wife finds someone, and they connect, and it happens. But in this case, with the Clintons, this was the 46th death of someone that was in the Clinton perimeters. Now, I looked it up real quick because I was reading the story, and I'm like, wow, all right, let me look this up. And there were 46 deaths. Were the Clintons involved? Was someone involved? Was he murdered? Did he kill himself? And that's the question, but it can never be answered. So it's one of these, stupid things that you look at and you go, well, again, like I said, you don't know what you don't know, but there's no way of finding it out unless someone actually comes out and says, yeah, we offed the guy, or the wife said, yeah, he kept telling me I was unhappy. I had a boyfriend. He knew about it. We were trying to work it out, but he was very unhappy and he killed himself. Don't know because this hasn't happened. So I just found it interesting, not going anywhere. The family can't do anything about it. And this is, how many years now? 10 years. It's now 2026, and this happened in 2016. And the family's just coming forward now. It must be a book coming out on this. So that's how I look at it. All right, so I got my Clinton dig in. All right. So Republicans are saying that Senator Schumer is positioning the Democrats for a shutdown of the government in October. So him, Schumer, and Jeffries are in cahoots to try to shut the government down in October because that is a key date, not only walking into the midterms in November of this year, but also the budget expires. So, the temporary budget. So Senator Ted Cruz predicted Tuesday that Schumer would try to do a government-wide shutdown at the end of September, just weeks before Election Day. So he went on to say, I'll make a wager right now for $100 that Schumer intends on October 1st to do the same thing, to shut the whole federal government down for a month. And he said this while in an interview on, I think it was CNBC, arguing that the Democrats could then attempt to blame the Republicans for the disruption. Now, we know that this has been the case in the last two shutdowns. It's Democrats, and they go, no, it's not us, it's them. And the Republicans go, we're voting for the budget. We got in front of us. We vote yes. You guys are holding it up. You're voting no. And they're saying, well, it doesn't have what we want in it. This is what we all agreed upon in here. Now you have to take that forward and pass it. And they go, no, we're not going to do it. And so it's not the Republicans. It's the Democrats. And they'll try to spin it, but they're going to try, or at least the alleged thinking is that they're going to try to manipulate it so that they will have the talking point of it's the Republicans. It's the Republicans going into the midterms. So Senator Roger Marshall, Republican from Kansas, said he believes shutdown brinkmanship has become a deliberate strategy, that is in their bags of tools. You don't think this has been done before by Republicans? That it's not been a strategy? Ask Bill Clinton. So when they say, well, see, this is the strategy of the Democrats, no, it is a strategy of whatever team is possibly on the outside. So, and when I say, the Republicans, if the Republicans had enough juice in the House, this be an issue that is not a problem. And then if the Republicans had the 60 seats in the Senate, this would not be a problem. But they don't. And I'm glad for that. I like that it has to go back and forth, but it really has to go back and forth in a meaningful way. One side is not just going to kowtow to the other side. You have to have bipartisan. You got to have that type of working cohesive. This isn't so much about brinkmanship, or this is getting things done for the people and saying, all right, we didn't get everything we wanted, but we also didn't give them everything they wanted. So we found a happy medium here, and we can work. In days gone by, Schumer was great at that. He was good at that. Not anymore. So Marshall went on to say, you can bet that it's Chuck Schumer's game plan to shut the government down at every chance he gets. And he said that while talking to the Hill. Another place that I'm not particularly fond of, but when they go on record and talk at, be it Fox or be it MS Now, they're on record. And so I don't care if I'm watching a, uber liberal station. I'm hearing it from that person's mouth. It's not someone writing a story. It's not, I'm reading it, it's spun a certain way, which you could see all these stories are spun a certain way when you read them, to put them into the best light of the agenda of the people writing the story. But when they're answering questions and speaking, those are the answers. Those were the questions, and here were your answers. I can draw my own conclusion. So that's why I watch a lot of these things. I like watching C-SPAN. C-SPAN, you hear these people talking. There might only be two people out there, but they're talking. They're going on record. And by going on record, you can search and you can bring stuff up now and go, hey, but in 2013, here you are saying this. And you just told us your position has not changed yet. It has. When did it change? And you could have people that change their positions. Absolutely. I kind of like that too. If you now look at something and you go, I was looking at it at this angle, but after now measuring and looking and actual reading, yeah, that's not going to work. And I gotta relook at this, and while relooking at it, now I'm going to change, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. From anyone doing that, either party doing that, so no problem with that. Senator James Lankford, Republican, Oklahoma, has proposed legislation that would force lawmakers to remain in session until funding bills are passed. While Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin is pushing for a plan to ensure critical workers continue receiving pay during shutdowns. Now, I'm not... There are some things that I could agree that, must be paid. Our military must be paid. Our air traffic controllers must be paid. Social Security must be paid. Medicare and Medicaid must be paid, because that is affecting, everyone. There are critical Homeland Defense, Homeland Security has to be. The Democrats, however, rejected the accusations of they're playing games here, arguing they are using the limited leverage in a GOP-controlled Washington to push policy priorities. Well, it's their priorities. They're not in power. So they're upset, just like the GOP was upset, you know, when they weren't in power. So this is kind of normal, but the Democrats now are openly saying we're going to use these people as pawns. And they have no reservations about doing that and no conscience about doing that. They don't care who they hurt. They'll hurt their own. They'll hurt everyone else. You know, I'm going to take my marbles and I'm leaving the playground. So the Republicans point to last year's prolonged shutdown battle and the current DHS funding crisis as evidence of a pattern of political abuse by the Democrats. I'm not so certain about that. You know, it's not something that I see out there, you know, that both sides haven't used. But I think that the idea of saying, I'm going to hurt these people, and they did, they hurt a lot of people. And they knew that it was a lost cause. Yet they're trying to inflict as much pain and take this as long as it can go because they have nothing else. The Democrats have nothing else. You just see it. And more people are coming to the realization that, all right, yeah, you're crying about this, you're crying about that, but why are you hurting us about it? And why didn't you handle it when you guys were in power? Why didn't you do all this stuff when you were in power? Jamie Raskin, why didn't you change the 25th Amendment when you were in power? Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you make these provisions and carve-outs? You could have. You only did it when it was Trump. You didn't do it when Joe Biden was babbling away and shutting the government down at 11:30 in the morning, shutting the White House down, because he had to take his nap and have his pudding. So, America is wise to you guys, and this is not the time to be pulling this nonsense. And they're not going to stand for it. And there's going to be a huge price to pay, Democrats, in your brand. And it's already happening. Already happening. It's no stopping it. You guys are in big trouble. And instead of trying to get back to a center, you guys now are again, you were going to the left by 10 degrees. So instead of coming back to zero, now you've gone 20 degrees. You think that's going to get you in. And it's not. And you don't see it. Or if you're seeing it, you're refusing to look at where you're going with it. Yeah, we're on a ship. I see the iceberg. You know, I'm going to go like this, so I don't see it, and we'll go through it, you know. It's not logical thinking. You're going to get votes. You're going to get, 48% or 41% or 42%, but you're not going to get the votes. And I'm telling you, too, with the fraud that's going on, it is a bad look in the Republicans are just going to heap on that, and you're going to see more and more of it. And the only time they want to show the president is in a bad light. We get it. We know what you're doing. Just like when we saw Biden giving a speech, you only saw 10 seconds of a 40-minute speech, and he'd be babbling and going off things. There was only a few networks that covered his whole speech. All right, let's get moving. I don't want to spend too much time. Virginia voters approved redistricting measures backed by the Democrats. Well, of course, they're going to be backed by them in Virginia. The new House map expands Democrats' 6-5 advantage in the state's congressional delegation to a 10-1 edge, a significant boost in the battle for the control of Congress this fall. The referendum, in which both sides poured tens of millions of dollars into yes, do it, no, don't do it, was likely the last chance for Democrats to pass a new set of congressional lines in their redistricting war with the Republicans in this cycle. Now, Virginia said when they redo the census in 2030, then it will go back to state control. But now they took it away. I don't think they should be allowed to do that. I don't think they should be allowed to do that in red states. I don't think they should, any of these redistricting where they had special districts, it's racist. It is racist. And Hakeem Jeffries, a Democrat, is really way, way out of his league, said the party put in whatever it takes to get the measure through. All right. Now, Republicans have passed new maps in Texas, North Carolina, and Missouri, and the upcoming special session could give them new pickup opportunities in Florida. Democrats responded with a blue-friendly redraw in California and got a boost from a court order map in Utah. Now, in the end, the Republicans are going to win this battle. But here is the fallout. Let's say the Democrats lose, right? And this redistricting really didn't help them. How do they undo it? And the GOP then goes, hey, this worked for us, and now we're going to go in here and we're going to hit even harder. And the same is true if the Republicans lose and the Democrats get it and they go, hey, this really won, let's dig in even more, and we'll make sure that this is never an issue for us again. And that's the problem. That's the problem. They're gaming the system. We each get 50 balls, one blue, one red. We put them into a fish bowl, and then you go in there, and you're allowed to pick 26 balls out of the 50. And the majority of whatever you pick blindly is how it would work out. And so that out of the 25 and 25, you want to go, again, I'm sorry, you want to go where there's an odd number, 20, so you pick 25. And if you got the majority blue, well, then the blue. If you got the majority of the red, then it's red. But if you go ahead and go, I'm going to put 100 blue in there and only 20 red, or 28 red. The chances of me picking all 28 red to skew the count for 50, well, that's not in my favor anymore. And it's not in anyone's favor. It's not a true representation. And that's what redistricting is. It's one side trying to take advantage of the other side, be it red, be it blue. Doesn't matter. It's math. So it is not a very good look for either side to be doing something like this. You get down to one person, one vote. And in redistricting, where you've created congressional spots by fragmenting and go, nope, well, we got to have one for Hispanic. We got to have one for blacks. This is already white, so we don't care about that. And it gives an unfair advantage. And, you got people going, well, look at the population. It's mainly of white people. They're all citizen, one person, one vote. And that did work. We elected Barack Obama, right? Twice. And, first black president with a population of about 12%. And of that 12%, maybe only 40%, 30% of that total votes or voted. How do you think Barack Obama won? Now, you're saying, well, that's good in a presidential election. But in a state voting for people in the Congresses, doesn't work that way. Because you didn't want to have one district outdo, if you had one district that was all, millionaires, and you had another district over here that was all poor, and the millionaires go, well, I don't want to pay any taxes, shove it on the poor, and you vote in a person that would then go, yep, we're going to make a law here, we're going to change it. This is on the state level. Federal is a little harder. But that was the whole idea that they somehow trying to even the playing field. There is no even playing field with one person, one vote. And districts need to be represented, but those districts are the district. You had planning commissions, you had people that it was their job to set those, and they are now overstepping that and going, well, we're putting it to a vote to the people, and we're going to put it that way. And, they go, that's true democracy, and that's mob rule. Because let's put out there, I want to make something illegal that is not protected by the Constitution. The Constitution rules over the state, so you can't say, well, I want to bring back slavery. Well, that's not going to happen. Because the Constitution expressly says, no, you can't do that. So, but you could make up rules for a state to say, no abortion. Right? No birth control. No vaccinations. There's nothing stopping that from happening. If you got all the district and all the legislators in every district to go towards your agenda. So that's why you want kind of a mix, but you had people that were elected to set those lines, and there was a method to the madness through the census. And now they've kind of gone away from that, and saying no. And a lot of people are saying the census wasn't correctly done. It asked questions that it should not have been asking, other than, are you a citizen? And that is a major flaw with our census, and I believe that will be corrected. But in the meantime, we have this nonsense. And if you were to elect one group in by this, let's say the Republicans win, and they truly win a majority, a real majority, and they go, nope, nope. Yeah, I hear you squawking over there. Squawk all you want. Hand vote, boom, boom. We have 60 votes in the Senate. It passes. It passes in the House of Representatives, gets kicked up to the Senate, and the Senate passes it because we have the majority. And now we say we're going to change how this is. We're going to change how that is. We're going to do this. And then try to undo it. Good luck. And that goes both ways. That's why it's very dangerous, and why I've said before that the most important vote is not for the president. It's for the people that make the laws. The president's just a cheerleader for their team. That's it. That's all they are. Powerful because of the executive branch, but still, in the end, just really up there to rah-rah our agenda. All right. Something to think about. Again, if you've made it this long and you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. If not, and you don't want to do it, just leave a comment. I appreciate comments, and I answer them all. All right, everyone, please think about giving to a charity. A charity helps a lot of people. But just make sure it's a charity that's real. You go to the charity. Don't have the charity come to you. Don't become a victim trying to help a victim. If you're not interested or care to go down that route, please think about giving to a food bank. They can always use help. There's lots of organizations out there that help a lot of people that are local and verifiable. And you can go there and you could see what's going on. Give food. Give money, because these places also need money. And it helps out. Say a prayer. Prayer does work, no matter what you might hear from a Democrat. And if you want to know why I say that, leave me a message. I'll tell you in the message. And with that, everyone, be safe. I'm going to try to get this out the store in like an hour before 12 noon. It's 11:55 a.m. right now, Eastern Standard Time. And I want this out the door. So everyone, be safe, be well, as I fade to